All right, welcome back to the next video in our distance learning series for pre-calculus. We're going to continue on with conic sections today, talking about ellipses, and we're actually going to talk about circles also, kind of at the end. It's kind of a special case. Last week we talked about parabolas and finding all the different attributes of parabolas. I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. I had some comments last week that with all the different variables and letters and kind of the way I went through that, maybe wasn't the best way. So I'm really going to approach graphing ellipses and finding the attributes of ellipses in a much more graphical way. So you definitely want to get some paper and a pencil. If you have graph paper, great. Even if you don't, that'll be okay too. So if you need to pause the video and kind of restart it once you get ready to do that, that'd be a great idea. Okay, so first of all, what does an ellipse look like as far as equation-wise? So we need to talk about what the equations are at least. So they look like one of two ways, and you can see them on the screen there. The one thing to notice it's h minus k and y, sorry, x minus h, y minus k in both of them, so that doesn't change. What changes is where the a and the b is, okay? And the important thing about this, right off of the bat, the larger, whatever the larger of that number is, that is the A, okay? So if the bigger numbers underneath the X, then that becomes the A. If the bigger numbers underneath the Y, the bigger number is always that A value, okay? So really important to keep that in mind about that. If the bigger number is under the X, it's going to be longer horizontally. And remember, an ellipse is like an oval. It's like a fancy word for an oval. Excuse me. And if the A is underneath the Y, the bigger number underneath Y, then it's going to be longer vertically. Okay, so as we get into graphing these things and finding the different attributes, that's where really the key point of this is all going to come from. Okay, the HK is the center. You got to remember, we are going to change the signs of both of those terms here. So we'll kind of take care of that too. Other attributes we're going to find two vertex points. Those are going to form what we call the major axis. It's also the longer axis. And then we're also going to find two co-vertex points, called co-vertices, plural. And those are going to form the minor axis or the shoulder axis. And then the last 2 points we need to find are called the focus point, or that is foci. And those are also going to be placed along the major axis, that long axis, okay? So there's really going to be basically 7 points we have to find: 2 vertices, 2 co-vertices, 2 foci, and then the center. But all of those things, once you find the center, the other ones all radiate out from that center point, okay? This is kind of what it looks like. So if the bigger number is underneath that X term, that's why it's going to be that horizontal distance. And we're going to see that the distance from the vertex to the center is going to be that A value, okay? And then the distance from the center vertically to the other 2 points is going to be the B value, okay? And that's just going to be what it's going to be every single time. If the bigger number is underneath the Y value, then obviously it's going to be bigger on that vertical distance. And notice on both of these screens, the focus points, the foci, are on that major axis. So whatever the longer axis is, that's where your focus points are going to be, okay? So how do we do this? So what we're going to do first is we're going to graph and write down the center. Because again, all of those other points are going to come directly from that spot, okay? So write down your HK. We're going to take the square roots of the denominators just to find whatever specifically that A and the B value is, okay? We're going to go right and left from the center. Whatever number is underneath the X, whether it's the A or the B, the longer or the shorter, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever that value is underneath the X, we're going to go left and right that amount. And then we're going to go up and down whatever the amount is underneath the Y term, okay? And then we're going to write down those coordinates. And then lastly, once we have all those guys, then we have to find what we call a C value. And you see the formula there. And I'll put it up again as we do a couple of examples. But it's always going to be, you're going to find c by the square root of a squared minus b squared. Okay, make sure it's just that minus sign, and make sure the bigger number is in, goes first. A lot of times these are not going to be clean square roots. It's okay to leave it as a radical or estimate, as a decimal. Either one would be okay with that. And then you go back to your center point, and you're going to move that distance both directions along the major axis, and those are going to be your focus points, okay, or your foci. And then to draw the ellipse, we're just going to connect the vertices and co-vertices. It's going to be some kind of, like I said, oval shape. Okay, so let's go and jump into an example here. So here's my first one, and I'll let you write that down. And if you don't have a piece of graph paper, just make an XY axis on your paper with evenly spaced marks, and just kind of do the best you can on that. And it'll be some good practice for you to do. And I am going to go through this in a very graphical sense, so it's important. Really want you to kind of follow along here as I do this. So first thing, what's my center? Well, I look up here, my H and my K. Remember, I always change signs. So my center is going to be at 1, -2. Okay, and I'm going to plot that point over there. So you see, there's my point, 1, -2. Every other point is going to come right from that right there. We're going to go left and right, up and down, different distances, depending on what it is we're finding. Okay. Also notice, since my larger number is underneath the X, it is going to be a horizontal ellipse. Okay. So first thing, I find my A and my B. So I take the square root of both denominators. So my A is 5, my B is 3, and those bottom numbers will generally be clean numbers. They don't have to be, but most of the time they are. Okay. So we're going to go right and left once we have that A and the B value. So we're going to go right and left 5 from the center. And again, graphically, I'm just going to put those points in here. So if I move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, both directions, and then I just write down what those points are. So this point is going to be your 6, -2. And then that point is your -4, -2. And those are my vertices, because they're the longer distance. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my center, and I'm going to go up and down 3, that B value. So again, up and down 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And write down those points. That'll be 1, 1, and 1, -5. And then once I have those points in there, I can go and draw the ellipse in there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I used PowerPoint to help me do that, but just kind of connect those points, and that's your ellipse. But remember, folks, we do still need to find those other two foci, the focus points. Okay. So the way we do that, we go back to our original equation, and we find C. And remember, C is the square root of A squared minus B squared. And those are just whatever those denominators are. So 25 minus 16, sorry, 25 minus 9 is 16. So that comes out to be 4. Again, a lot of times that will not be a clean number, but I wanted to come out clean on this first one. And then whatever that value is, we're going to go 4 units, in this case, left and right. Why am I going left and right? Well, because that horizontal axis is my major axis. It's my longer axis. So I'm going to go left and right 4 from the center. And those are my 2 points there in purple. And then write those points down, and those are your focus points, and you're done. Okay? So once you have the center, we're going to go left and right, whatever value is underneath the X value, up and down whatever value is underneath the Y value, and then find your C to move out for your focus points. Okay? Now, I do have a Desmos demonstration also that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to bring that up here. So here is, and I've got the exact same ellipse I just graphed. So you see all the different points labeled. Okay. And I'm going to put a link to this Desmos demonstration down in the description of the video. And I'll also post a link on Classroom. But notice here, I can change my H and K values all over the place if I want to. I can change my K values. I can shift it up and down all over the place. And I can also change my A and my B values. Okay, so notice if I get my A way out here, it becomes even thinner. I bring my A back in, it's starting to get closer and closer to a little more kind of chunky, I guess you could say, a little squatter. But notice what happens if my B value becomes bigger than A. Notice what happened to the focus points. Now my major axis is vertical, so my focus points also became along that vertical axis. Okay, so again, I will put this little demonstration on in the description below and on Classroom when I post all this stuff. And you're welcome to go in and kind of play around with the different values and see how the ellipse change. And you can honestly even use it to kind of check your work. You just have to graph things by hand, but you can at least use it to kind of check what's going on and things like that. Okay. Let's go back here. So the last things that you should be able to find also are just the lengths of the major and minor axis. So remember, the major axis is from one vertex to the other, so that's going to be 10. Notice that's just 2 times A because A was 5. And then my length of the minor axis is just 6 because again, 2 times 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So length of the minor axis is going to be 6, so just 2 times B. Okay. So let's look at a second example here. So here's my second example. And again, I'll give you if you need to pause the video real quick just to write that equation down so you can practice it as you go along here. First thing you want to do is get the center. So we have the center again. Don't forget to change the sign. So it's going to be -3, 1. So I'll put that point over there. And then we notice that the bigger number is underneath the Y, so we know it's going to be a vertical ellipse. It's going to be kind of longer on that vertical axis. Okay, so we find A and B. A in this case is 6, B is 2. We go up and down 6, again, up and down that big number because it's underneath the Y. So we're going to go up and down 6 units. Pop those points right there. And then just write down what the points are. So -3, 7, and -3, -5. We're going to go left and right 2 for my minor axis or my co-vertices. So left and right 2, we have those 2 points. I'll write down those coordinates, so -1, 1, and -5, 1. And those are my co-vertices. And I'm just going to sketch the ellipse in there the best I can. And I can tell you when I do this in person, like on a piece of paper, I am lousy at it. So don't stress out if your ellipse isn't pretty, because mine never are either. And then we got to find the focus points. So again, we go back to the equation, find C. So 36 minus 4 is 32. Not clean. So we need to estimate that as about 5.6. That's close enough. But remember, we're always going to go along that major axis. So in this case, we're going to go up and down 5.6 units. And just kind of estimate those. And notice those are going to be pretty close in this case to the vertex, and that's okay. That's going to happen. So you just go up and down 5.6 units. So that would be -3 and 6.6. That's that top point up here. And then -3, -4.6, and that'd be your focus. Okay, and again, major axis, minor axis, we want to find those 2. And again, 2 times A would be 12 in this case. And then 2 times B would be 4 for your minor axis. Okay, and that's it. This is, I'm hoping without doing kind of the plus minus this and that and the other, I hope this is a little bit easier for you guys to understand on getting different attributes here. So I've got one more for you. Go and try this one on your own. Go and pause the video, sketch that down, and see if you can get a good graph of this thing. And then we'll go through the answer pretty quickly here in about 10 seconds. Okay, so notice in this case, my center is, notice there's nothing here. So that means my H is 0. So don't forget, 0 is a number 2. So my center in this case would be 0, -4. So there's that point down there. My larger number's underneath the X, so it's going to be horizontal. So we got A is 7, B is 5. So left and right 7. Pop those points in there, write the coordinates. We're going to go up and down 5 units. So there's the points right there. Write down those coordinates. Sketch the vertex in, or sorry, sketch the ellipse in, I should say, where you have the vertex. And then once you have that, then we can do the C value. First, we can find the focus points. So 49 minus 25, again, not a clean number, it's okay. Estimate that to about 4.9. And which direction are we going to go here for this one? Well, since it's longer horizontally, we're going to go left and right. So left and right, 4.9 units. Those are those guys right there, close enough. And then your points are going to be, we'll kind of write down those coordinate points. Major axis, remember the major axis is 2 times A. So my A was 7, so my major axis is going to be 14. And my minor axis is 2 times B, so 2 times 5, so that'll be 10. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about just real fast is kind of a special case of an ellipse. Notice what happens if A and B are the same thing. And I can even go back to my Desmos demonstration here real fast to show you what happens here. So if A and B are the same thing, look what we have. There's no focus points at all, and we just have a circle. Okay, and that's always going to happen, folks. So if A and B are the same thing, and we can do this kind of the same way, so in this case, my center is going to be -1, -2. My A and the B are the same thing. So A, going left and right 4, B going up and down 4. So that's going to be what that is. Notice even if you try to find C, it's just 0. So that just tells you there's no focus points. There's a circle, and that's it. Now, usually you won't see a circle written in that way equation-wise. It's valid, but usually you're going to see it written like this. If you multiply both sides by 16 just to get rid of the denominator, then you have the circle written like this. And the general form of that is this. So it's still the H and the K thing, so we'll change those signs. And then the outside number for the circle case is written as r squared. So again, you take the square root of 16, which is 4, and that becomes r, which we know from geometry is our radius. Okay? So that's your ellipses in the special case of being a circle. And that's kind of how you go about doing those. So I'll leave that screen up there kind of at the end. But remember, it's all about finding your center and then just going left, right, up, down, depending on what those A and the B values are, and then finding your C for the focus point. I hope you found this video informative. Feel free, obviously, to go back and work through the examples on your own. I encourage you to do that. If you have anybody else that's taking pre-cal or kind of doing the Conic section stuff, feel free to share the video with them. There will be a short assignment posted on Classroom also about graphing and finding and writing down the attributes of the ellipses. And again, don't forget the link for the Desmos demonstration there with the sliders. I'll put that link down in the description for you as well. Okay. I hope you guys, hope you're all doing well and your families are doing well in this distance learning time. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or email your teacher. And again, feel free to subscribe to the video, share it with anybody that you think might find it helpful. And until the next time,
Keep studying.